Well, first, I think the no-fly zone is not a very good idea, given that it would be a direct involvement of NATO into combat operations, essentially. However, short of that, there are a few things that NATO could do, and in my view, should do to increase the pressure, not just from an economic point of view or political point of view on Putin, but also from a military point of view. First and foremost, NATO has plans and has capabilities to potentially close or control the access of two strategic seas for Vladimir Putin, the Baltic and the Black Seas. And I think NATO should be much more willing to do that. It's called horizontal escalation. So it's not an escalation in Ukraine, but it's around in some regions, again, that economically and military are really important for Vladimir Putin. Second, I think we need to amplify much more the delivery of light precision weapons that the Ukrainian forces need in order to continue disrupting the Russian supply line, continue shooting down helicopters and fighter jets. And we need to really amplify that. And NATO has the means and the expertise to do that, to deliver weapons on a more significant scale to Ukraine. And finally, I think NATO over the last few years has been very proud of its cyber posture, claiming that cyber is now full part of its planning. And I think we should not hesitate to use cyber operations to also disrupt the Russian operation and to send a signal to Vladimir Putin that it cannot go completely unpunished and just sitting on the other side of the NATO border making statements.
You say amplify. From what we've seen so far, it does appear that the forces in Ukraine are receiving significant military equipment, and we've seen these major commitments by European countries and the United States to provide surface-to-air missiles and other anti-tank weapons. You know the structure of NATO, you know where the munitions are. Can you be very specific? Who is not contributing at this time? Who should be?
Well, I cannot comment on that because, frankly, it's hard to say who among the member states are not contributing. It seems that the good news, many more than in the past, are willing to contribute, including countries like France and Germany, who until recently had a posture of not delivering lethal weapons to Ukraine. What I know from my contacts in Ukraine is that this is not enough yet to have a constant supply and to be able to basically face what is coming and what you were describing earlier, which is massive Russian heavy artillery, basically massive Russian fire that is going to siege and besiege large cities like Odessa and Kiev. And for that, the Ukrainian forces will have to turn into guerrilla warfare. And to do that, they will need these handheld weapons that can really inflict damage to the Russian force. Second, I think we should not forget about also the civilian force that is helping the regular Ukraine force to fight. Those civilians who are basically taking weapons and trying to keep some sort of stability or the kind of peace behind the lines, the contact lines. And for that, they need protective gear. And again, from my contacts in Ukraine, they don't have enough of those protective gear. And I think on that, NATO could also do more.
Fabrice, can we just bring up the Russian tactics here? Because all along, early on, it was discussed that there would be this bulldozer type of effect from the Russian army. They're so incredibly strong, so well equipped that they would just move very aggressively into Ukraine. But we are seeing problems here now, and talk from the Ukrainians that there's been 11,000 casualties from the Russian side. We're hearing that top Russian brass are having to be on the ground here trying to steer and motivate Russian troops. Can you just talk to what we have seen from the Russians so far?
Well, first, with a big pinch of salt, because we are in the fog of war, including information war. And I think all sides are providing figures which have to be taken with a lot of caution. However, there is a bigger picture, which is clear that the initial Russian tactic of basically replicating Crimea, sending special forces, paratroopers to seize strategic posts, airports, parliaments, TV stations, that strategy that Vladimir Putin was trying to implement has failed. And his problem now is that in order to succeed from a military point of view, he will have to go for massive bombing and much more, I would say, ugly tactics than what was initially started. And the problem with that is that it's going to completely undermine his political goal, which was to basically put a Russia-friendly puppet government in Kiev. That will not be possible because now the Ukrainian population has completely turned against him. Even the Russia-friendly politicians like the mayor of Odessa or a few others are actually completely against the Russian presence in Ukraine. So his political goal has already failed. The question is whether we can stop him in his military advance.